Are you making the idea of HR strategies complicated? When you think about it, do you automatically see flashing dollar signs and confused faces? If so, I would argue you're probably thinking about it all wrong. In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step formula so that the next time you implement an HR strategy, not only will it be aligned with organizational focuses, but you'll also have the peace of mind that it's going to be well received. And you can have peace of mind that it's going to go over well. In my last video, I talked about the importance of having a targeted HR strategy when it comes to aligning with organizational focuses. So I'll link the video here so you can watch that as well. But today we're talking about how you should do it step by step to move forward to make sure you are doing all the right things and focusing on the right things as well. The bottom line is this: you want your HR department to be a well-oiled machine. You don't want your HR department to be a carbon copy of your competitor's HR department or of an industry that doesn't even relate to your organization. You want it to be a very well-oiled machine that is personalized and targeted to what your business needs right now. It's not about what my team needs. It's not about what some team that needs on social media or in the news or anything like that. Your team has very unique needs in this moment in time. So your HR department should reflect those needs as well. And you should come alongside your organizational leaders, your CEO, your CFO, all of your senior leaders, to make sure you are bringing HR initiatives to the table that's going to help move the business forward. So today we're talking about ways you can do that step by step. If you are with me and you know that your HR department should be unique, type the word unique in the comments. You have to understand that your department should be one of a kind, should be unique to any other HR department. Type that word below to let me understand that you know where we're going with this, and let's get started. Before we get into the step-by-step on what it takes to put together your plan of your strategy, you first need to understand why it's important to have one. So you need to get out of firefighter mode. So when I teach the HR Department of One classes through SHRM, we often talk about in the very beginning of the class, what hats do HR professionals wear? And we often wear the hats of the firefighter. We're the magicians. We are the party planners. We are the hall monitors. We have a lot of hats that we wear in HR, but oftentimes we are firefighters. That means we're putting out fires. We're resolving things that come to us. We're responding to things that come to us. We're reacting to things that come to us. And we're not always reacting to things that we have created ourselves. So we want to get out of that mindset, and that's what we're going to talk about in future videos in this series. But we want to get out of that mindset of only responding to things that come to us and only reacting. We want to be out of reactionary mode. Putting a plan together gives you a targeted and a focus on what you should be focused on, what you should be doing next, so you know where you're going. If all you're doing is putting out fires, that's the easiest way to get stuck. When I talk with my clients, that's one of the things we try to get out of. You have to identify and take a step back. Like, where are you right now? What is it that you're trying to focus on? What is your organization focusing on? And how can you come alongside them to make sure you are moving the business forward? So first, we have to understand we have to get a plan together, because the plan is going to give us a targeted focus of what we're going to do next. So let's get into these steps on what it takes to put your plan together. First thing you need to do is you need to identify what your business is focusing on right now. You can't do this on your own. You need to go and talk to people to understand what is the business focusing on right now. Is the business trying to gain more clients, add new products to the market, gain more market share? What is the business focusing on? That's the very first thing you want to think about, and the very first thing you want to do, because if you don't do that, anything you bring to the table has the probability that it's going to be unaligned. And if it's unaligned, people are not going to hear you. It's not going to be valued, and you're not going to get anywhere with it. Once you know what the business is focusing on, again, you don't want to do this in a silo. You need to align with the business leaders and see how can HR support. For example, if the organization is focused on adding new products and services, from an HR perspective, does this mean you need to reskill or upskill or train your employees to be able to take on these new needs? If you are trying to retain new clients, is this a new skill that we need as well? Are you trying to fix gaps? You're trying to align with different things that the organization is already focusing on, from having new hiring focuses to building out new retention strategies to just finding different ways to engage employees. There's so many things you can focus on from an HR perspective. But again, the last thing you want to do is roll out all the bells and whistles on this brand new initiatives, and it has nothing to do with where the business is going right now. In this process, you want to make sure you are controlling what you can control. For example, we know a part of our job is going to be in firefighter mode. That's just a given, because we have to deal with people and we're dealing with things that are important to people. So that requires us to be flexible. But what can you control? You can control any technology that you're invested in. You can control any time commitment that you have. You can control the effort that you put into these things as well. So as you go through this process, as you're working with the business leaders and you're bringing this brainstorming activity to the table, you want to identify what can you control in the process. You can't control how anyone's going to receive anything that you put in place, but you can control how you put it out. You can control how you organize it, how you roll it out, how you get stakeholders buy-in and all those things. So be very, very careful and very sensitive to not only the ideas that you have, but how you roll them out as well. In this process, once you've decided what the business needs, you've decided how you can help them as an HR leader, and you're understanding what you can control, identify what metrics matter most. So if there's a recruiting issue or a recruiting focus, maybe you should focus on turnover, or maybe you want to focus on time to fill. Maybe it's taking you a while to get people in the seats, or time to hire even. Or maybe if it's an issue with engagement or a new initiative where you're involving engagement, maybe you want to roll out some surveys to identify a baseline and then find different ways to get to a new happy medium. So you want to find different ways to identify what can you control, what can you have inputs in, so that as you have things that happen, you can understand what's going to come next. Once you've identified these metrics, set goals for them. So it's one thing to know what your baseline is, but you need to understand what is the goal. You know where you start, but where are we trying to go? That's another way that you can get out of just reactionary mode and just taking things as they come. And that goes back to having a plan. If you know what your plan objective is and you know where your plan is trying to take you, it'll be so much easier to get there. So again, identify your metric, but identify what is the ideal metric. What is the ideal best case scenario? Once you know what the metric is and you know where you are and you know where you want to go, figure out what can you do to move the needle. How can you get from here to here? How can you get from point A to point B or point Z even? You've got to find those different things you can do along the way to make the incremental changes, whether it's a new initiative, whether it's new conversations, whether it's focus groups, whether it's surveys. It depends on what the issue is, or it depends on what the business need is. But again, you don't want to boil the ocean. You've got to do things incrementally over time, but these incremental changes happen and they make incremental impacts. So you want to know where you're going. You want to understand how these things are happening. So you have to also make time to reassess. You have to make time to realign, because sometimes things get out of control and things get off track when it comes to the plan. So you want to make sure you have your stakeholders in your buy-in as there as well. So again, it's not just deciding what your plan is and running with it. You've got to have targeted places built into your plan so that you are identifying where and how can you get off track, how can you get back on track. So you know the business need, you're working with other business leaders, you set your metrics, you know what goals you have within your metrics. Last thing you want to do is set your goals, set your timelines. So how long is it going to take you? How long do you think it's going to take you to get from point A to point B or point A to point Z? Set that goal. Maybe you'll hit it, maybe you won't hit it. But you need to know where you're going. You want to know how far you're going to go, how quickly you're going to get there. That way you know how easily you need to reassess or realign. Maybe you underestimate how things are going to go. Maybe you overestimate how things are going to go. Again, no project, no plan is going to be perfect, but you've got to have something in place so that you understand where you're going to go next. And once you get through all of these steps, you rinse and repeat. It's not a one and done thing. You've got to keep doing the plan over and over and over again. You have to keep working the plan. The plan only works if you work it. So you have to keep putting things in place and tweaking it as you go to get the perfect result, or the most optimal result that you want for your leaders, for your stakeholders, and for everyone involved. When you take this targeted approach, the results that you get will not be accidental. You do things and you do things on purpose. It's things like this that make your department a well-oiled machine. When it makes it where anyone who's coming to you with a need that you can help them with, or anything that you see that you can help someone to build, you know that you have a set of rules or set or formulas that you go through that you can make sure that you're always going to be aligned, you're always going to be focused on the results, and you're always going to be time bound to make sure that things don't go on forever. So again, you want your department to run like a well-oiled machine. That's one of those things that's going to help you to build your credibility and build your impact within your department. There's no silver bullet and there's no one size fits all, but these strategies are really going to help you to identify what your team needs today. And what's great about this program, and what I love to watch the reactions of those who go through the program, is that you can have the same strategy implemented in different ways in various industries, various employee sizes, various HR sizes as well, various HR experiences, because every organization is unique. Every HR department should also be unique. So you know why it's important to have an HR strategy, and now you know how to put together an HR plan. Next, we're going to talk about the importance and the difference between HR plans and HR strategies and HR tactics. It's a completely different strategy for each of these things, and you don't want to get stuck in the tactical work. That's how we get burnt out. That's how we lose our credibility. That's how we can get easily replaced when it comes to technology and all those things. So I'll see you in the very next video where we talk about the differences between strategy and tactics. See you there.